Part 64 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger. In this part, my therapist takes the stand, and then also TMZ's paparazzi Jacob Castillon finishes his testimony on the stand as well. Also, this would be the day that we notice that Jack Nicholson's son, Ray Nicholson, is waiting in the hallway every single day, just waiting outside the courtroom, and we don't know why, but I figured it out. So in a federal courthouse like this, there's extra security than there is at regular courthouses, so you don't only just have to go through security, you also have to show your ID at the door, and because this was such a violent crime, they were pretty, the security was on it. They were on it for the entirety of our trial. And one thing we noticed for several days, we noticed right outside our courtroom, remember, nobody's there who doesn't need to be there, but we noticed that for several days outside our courtroom, there was a guy, that youngish, like 30-ish, white guy, dressed nice and tan skin. And to be honest, like, he looked rich. Like, he just looked, like he had just been summering somewhere. Like, just the way he was dressed, the skin, all that stuff. And we noticed him, but, like, we had enough on our plates, we didn't really address it. But on this day, we did. Because on this day, during lunch, before lunch, when I had to, like, use the bathroom or something, so I left the courtroom and went out to the bathroom, I walked past him, and every day he would, and this is during, 2021 COVID, so everybody's wearing masks. So you can't see full faces. But one of the days, like, it was either this morning of this date or the yesterday morning, July 13th or 14th. But I was walking past him, and I was within 3 feet as I walked past him, and he's sitting on the bench right outside our courtroom. And he looked up, and he smirked and laughed at me. And I just thought that was strange, like, that was weird. So then lunchtime comes, and I finally say something to my attorney. I was like, hey, who is that guy? He looks like, like around Sean Drizz's age and in his tax bracket. Like, who is that guy? And my attorney goes, oh, that's Ray Nicholson. He's a star witness for us. And my brother and I were like, sorry, what? We have a star witness? What are you talking about? And he goes, oh yeah. And by the way, we don't know he's Jack's son yet. We just know he goes, yeah, he's an actor from New York. And he flew all the way out here just to testify, you guys, strangers. And my heart like exploded. I was like, wait, a man who doesn't even know us, like, what's the deal? He goes, well, he was friends with Sean and all them when this happened. He just happened to be there that night. A total coincidence. Wasn't there for the birthday party for the Drizzes. He just happened to be there out by the valet. And I deposed him a couple months ago in May, and he flew out here to help us to testify against the Drizzes. And I was like in tears almost, like, wait a second, like, how kind, a stranger, like, and he's not afraid of the Drizzes. Like, this is insane. So I was just so happy. I tell my brother, we go into court, we start the day, but like, I step out and I start Googling, and I'm like, who is Ray Nicholson? In my mind, I'm thinking Mikkelson. I'm Googling New York actor. Nope, can't find him. Trying to see if he's on Instagram, because I'm sure we have mutuals, because I know a ton of actors from New York, LA, all that stuff. Can't figure it out. Like, okay. So then I'm like, let's try it. Maybe I heard my attorney wrong, like Nicholson. So I tried Nicholson and Google him. His picture comes up, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, that's Jack Nicholson's son. They look identical. So we're in a really great mood. Like, wow, okay, this is Jack Nicholson's son. He can't be intimidated. Like, the Drizzes aren't going to go after Jack's son. So we were just flying high on this information. So now, next part. So we'll get back to Ray. So we're in court. The judge asks for financial documents once again from the defendants. And William Joelson, shocker, has excuses. He says his printer ran out of ink twice. His phone broke, but he does have the negative COVID test, but he forgot to bring it to court. So the judge goes, okay, well, why don't we take a break? You can have your doctor fax it to me right now. Okay, so real quick, my longtime therapist, she's incredible. She takes a stand, and I'll just kind of give a synopsis of what she says. So she tells the court that I have severe PTSD, I have headaches, panic attacks, fear, adrenaline, avoidance, etc. My PTSD is the experience of horror and helplessness. She says that my therapy it's partly successful, but partly not, because of the physical injuries and because there's been zero remorse from the defendants. I've dealt with harassment, stalking, car vandalism, drones in the yard, etc. My therapist also then says that she administered an MMPI-2 psychological test. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it measures if somebody has hypochondria, depression, hysteria, paranoia, etc. and it came out that I have severe PTSD. Okay, so next on the stand, we're going to finish Jacob Castillon's testimony. He's the TMZ paparazzi who I tried to help and whose story changed dramatically to help the defendants throughout time. Okay, so Jacob says that he saw me unconscious on the ground, so he went and helped me. I'm just kidding. He went and grabbed his camera and he left. He saw us at Cedars-Sinai Hospital afterwards. He saw how injured we were. He witnessed that. He spoke to one of the victim witnesses. And so our group of people that were there supporting us at the hospital saw how badly injured he was, not just a couple scratches as he lied on the stand. He also mentions that his BlackBerry work phone that he had belonged to TMZ. We never got our hands on that, interestingly enough. And he also mentions that he saw the defendants flee in a Bentley. Okay, so now Castillon's still on the stand, and then Sean Driz/Ally McBeal gets up to cross-examine him. And Sean asks, "Why didn't you sue us if you were so injured?" Castillon said, "I had no lasting injuries. That would be like unethical to sue you." And then he looks at us. Oh, Castillon also said that he got 2 months of workers' comp. If he only had a couple scratches and he was fine in 2 weeks, that's fraud. If he collected workers' comp for 2 months, that means he couldn't work for 2 months. So, Castillon then repeats that he had no serious injuries. Reminder, we heard the doctors saying that at the hospital that night that he was possibly going to have facial reconstructive surgery. They had to wait for the swelling to go down to see if his jaw was broken or not. Also a reminder, when I went to dinner in Brentwood with Charles Lathibodeau, the executive producer of TMZ, a couple years later, Charles told me, my friend, and other people that were sitting near us, that I don't know if he was aware if they were sitting near us, but he said it in front of a lot of people, that Jacob Castillon was so shattered and battered, physically, emotionally, mentally, that he took 4 months off, and that he wasn't sure if he could ever go back into the paparazzi thing again because it was so dangerous and traumatizing. Figured I'd put their pictures up here just in case anyone forgot who they were. Jacob Castillon, the TMZ guy, he claimed that the other paparazzi, Robert Suraci, that he happened to drive by and see the fight, but he wasn't injured. That's actually a lie as well, because Robert Suraci is in the initial police report and it's in the original deposition testimonies. He was savagely assaulted and he also lost consciousness. Suddenly, he's never been injured and he wasn't there. It's almost like somebody could have paid him out immediately and TMZ would be aware of all this. Interesting. Then Castillon says that, now this is crazy. He says, Ann and Matt took the majority of the beating as a result of coming to his rescue. Good guy. He said his jaw was a little swollen. Excuse me. He said he just had superficial wounds and scrapes. And then he took photos as they got into their cars. Those photos were never handed over by TMZ or their parent company. Interesting. TMZ kept those. I wonder why. And I'll end this part with just something that really tells you about TMZ and Jacob Castillon and their character. He's asked why he didn't offer Ann assistance. And he says, "I didn't think, let me help this lady, let me call 911. I was thinking, let me get my camera." Yeah. And that's the end of Jacob Castillon's testimony. And let's go to the next part for the next witness.